Good evening. My name is Brian Mast, and I'm the Executive Director of the Music Center and the conductor of the GC Symphony Orchestra. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to tonight's GC Talks session, ECoSistema, Building Community Through Music Education in Elkhart County. The GC Talks are a year-long set of presentations sponsored by the Goshen College Alumni Council that feature many of our annual lectureships and will also include presentations from Goshen College faculty, students, Goshen College faculty, students, alumni, and friends of the college. At the end of this presentation, there will be a chance for you to ask questions. If you are joining us via the Zoom webinar link, you can interact with us through the Q&A function, which you'll find at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I will monitor those questions and comments, and we will get to as many of them as we can at the end. And now on to our presentation. ECoSistema, Elkhart County's ECoSistema-inspired program, began 6 years ago at Roosevelt STEAM Academy in Elkhart, with Horizon Education Alliance leading the effort along with community partners. Through HEA's strong leadership, several pilot projects were started, and the first ECoSistema colleague was hired. In the summer of 2020, HEA transitioned the leadership duties to the Goshen College Music Center. This transition was made possible by a generous gift grant that was awarded by the Community Foundation of Elkhart County. While GC is the new home for ECoSistema, we are thrilled to continue the partnership with HEA and other community organizations as we look forward to connecting with new collaborators in the future. Tonight's presenters are no strangers to Goshen College. Hillary Harder, who serves as the Community School of the Arts and ECoSistema Program Director, is a 2015 grad of GC, and Kent Dutchersmith, ECoSistema Lead Teaching Artist, is a 1990 grad. They will tell you more about their education and their credentials, but I want to add a couple of things that I don't think they will share. Before Hillary took her current position during her time teaching at Roosevelt STEAM Academy in Elkhart, she was awarded the Elementary Teacher of the Year Award for all of Elkhart Community Schools. She is also a part of the national conversation around equity and inclusion in music as she works with El Sistema USA, focusing on equity-centered pedagogy. Kent is a multi-talented instrumentalist, playing more instruments than I can list here, but maybe most notably, he has performed as soloist multiple times with the Maple City Community Orchestra, performing both a nose flute concerto and a concerto for orchestra and typewriter. Both Hillary and Kent play in bands that cover different styles of music. And now, I'll turn things over to Hillary and Kent, and I'll see you at the end for the question and answer period. So please be sure to remember to add your questions as the presentation goes along. Hillary and Kent.
Thank you so much, Brian, and good evening. It is so nice to be with you all. Thank you for joining us. Kent and I are absolutely thrilled to be able to speak with you tonight about our work with ECoSistema. So just a very brief introduction. As Brian mentioned, I graduated from Goshen College in 2015. I did not actually study music education as an undergrad, so I went on to pursue my Master's of Arts in Teaching the following year. I actually didn't know that I wanted to teach until I learned about ECoSistema-inspired music education and about the tremendous developments that were taking place here in Elkhart County. And this inspired me to go to Los Angeles and get this master's degree, and then come back here to Elkhart County and work with the amazing music education community here and the ECoSistema-inspired movement. So after teaching for a couple of years in public school and community-based music programs, I am tremendously honored and thrilled to be now the program director for ECoSistema and the Community School of the Arts here at Goshen College.
And I also am a GC grad, 1990. I also did not major in music ed, but I was L-Ed with minors in music and tussle. But then I did go on to get my master's in music ed at Anderson University with an emphasis in Orff Schulwerk, which is an approach to music involving xylophones, glockenspiels, movement, and composition, improvisation, and I use those things with ECoSistema as well. Currently, I am the ECoSistema lead teaching artist. This is my second year in this role, and it is a role that I feel very honored and privileged to be able to do.
So as Brian has already shared, ECoSistema is made possible by many partnerships. So Horizon Education Alliance took on some of the early leadership for bringing this movement to Elkhart County. And Goshen College has always been a partner. And even more so now that ECoSistema has found a home here, as Goshen College is the host organization. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Elkhart County are a tremendously important partner for us. They were the site of our very first after-school ELSistema inspired program, and you'll hear more about that later on. We have two sites that are based in public schools, Roosevelt STEAM Academy in Elkhart and Prairie View Elementary in Goshen. And again, we'll talk a bit more about those a little bit later. And we are also extremely fortunate to have an organization like the Community Foundation of Elkhart County here in our community. They're just a wonderful organization that helps connect the many wonderful philanthropists in our community with lots of great initiatives. And we've been honored to receive some support from them, very generous support. And then Conn-Selmer, it's just such a cool coincidence that this US-based instrument manufacturing company just happens to be located in Elkhart, just right here in our community. And they've also provided a lot of support in helping us build up our instrument inventory for ECoSistema. We are a member of ELSistema USA, which is the national network of ELSistema inspired programs here in the US. So we'd like to just give a little bit of context about what ELSistema is. So ELSistema, as you might guess, originated in Latin America. It actually began in Venezuela in 1975. There was an economist and a government official in the Venezuelan government by the name of Jose Antonio Abreu. And he had this vision that music education could be a transformative thing for students, for young people all throughout Venezuela. He firmly believed that one of the greatest harms of poverty is the feeling of being nobody. And he really truly believed that music could be a key vehicle to promote a sense of identity and connection and empowerment for the young people of Venezuela. He himself was a musician. He had grown up with music lessons and it had been incredibly impactful for him. And so even as an economist, he recognized that music could be a social tool. And in fact, he always thought of this revolutionary music program as first and foremost a social program using music as its tool. So we refer to ELSistema as a community music and youth development program. So Abreu started this crazy, at the time it seemed crazy, music program in 1975. At the time, he looked around and saw that in Venezuela, all of the classical musicians were well-resourced Europeans. The people of Venezuela were not able to have access to music education, and he sought to change that. He wanted music to be for everyone. He envisioned this radical, inclusive, free, government-funded music education program. So he began with 11 kids in a parking garage in Caracas in 1975. And gradually he brought more and more kids into this. He trained more and more students. As students got older, they began to teach and go out into the barrios and get more and more people involved. It just swept through the country. And this movement broke onto the world stage really in 2007 at the London Prom. So this like pinnacle of classical music. This young, fiery ensemble, the top orchestra of ELSistema, it's called the Simón Bolívar Orchestra of Venezuela, conducted by Gustavo Dudamel, who was extremely young at the time. They played at the London Proms, and here is a little clip. completely took the classical music world by storm. They were not prepared for this group of young kids from Venezuela wearing their national colors proudly, feeling so inspired and just this sense of pride and playing so incredibly. The world really took notice. Other countries started looking at Venezuela and saying, wow, what are they doing there? Something that they're doing is really making a difference. And so this philosophy really started spreading all throughout the world. And I say philosophy because El Sistema is not a curriculum. It's no two programs look alike. It's not really replicable. It is a set of ideals. And so even though no two programs are exactly alike, there are a few common elements. There are a few common elements that you can observe across El Sistema inspired programs. I'll just highlight a few of them here. So tocar y luchar means to play and to strive in Spanish. And again, it's this idea of striving to overcome maybe obstacles to access, maybe striving to overcome just adverse situations in life, systemic oppression, poverty, exclusion. So students are using music as their way of striving. The nucleo environment, the nucleo refers to a program site. So for example, we with ECoSistema, we have 3 nucleos, the Boys and Girls Club of Goshen and Roosevelt STEAM Academy and Prairie View Elementary. And the nucleo is meant to be just this hub of community life. It's a place that the community feels tremendous ownership over, where kids come and parents and families, and it's just buzzing with life. And we have seen that atmosphere really developing in our nucleos. And we purposely chose to go where the kids are in our community as well. El Sistema inspired programs are intense, they're rigorous and frequent. The idea is to build this sense of ritual, of coming together regularly and frequently and making really high level music. They are also ensemble based. That's crucial to the El Sistema philosophy of building cooperation and collaboration. So it doesn't have to be an orchestra, it could be a choir, it could be dance, it could be a mariachi band, but it's ensemble is at the core of it. The CATS teacher model, that just refers to the fact that many El Sistema teaching artists are also musicians in their own right. They're out in the community making music, being involved as citizens, and serving as role models for their students. And then, yeah, in El Sistema, there's really this idea that kids in the very early ages, as young as toddlers or very early childhood, all the way up through young adulthood, it's multi-year, and families are a really important part of this as well. So families and the community, they're all integrated and included. So these are some of the core common elements of El Sistema inspired programs.
So our mission with ECoSistema, specifically at the Boys and Girls Club, is to empower students and build community through music education. And one of our really big goals is to help fill access gaps to quality music education for students who might face access barriers. For example, we provide private lessons for students who wouldn't be able to afford them otherwise, which gives students a boost both musically and emotionally. And then a third point of our mission is to promote lifelong social emotional skills and appreciation of music. And to put all these in a nutshell, to sort of reiterate and connect with what Hillary was talking about El Sistema in general, we are a program for music and youth development.
So I just want to share too how really fortunate we feel to be able to be housed at Goshen College now with ECoSistema. There is tremendous alignment between our mission and the mission of the Music Center and of Goshen College. Goshen College's core values really resonate with this philosophy of radical inclusion and of transcending access barriers. And the Music Center has been doing community-based music education for years now in our community. And we just think it's such a wonderful opportunity for us to now work in even closer partnership. We have this vision that ECoSistema can encompass this lifespan approach, a lifetime of music education. So starting from a very early age with Music Together, which is an early childhood music education program for toddlers, even infants, and their caregivers. We imagine all of our children in Elkhart County having access to music from that young age. And as they get older, they can be involved with lessons, with beginning to learn instruments. That's something that the Music Center has been doing for a long time through the Community School of the Arts. It's also something that we're doing in ECoSistema. Specifically, we're wanting to reach out to students who might not otherwise have access to that. As students are getting older, they have the opportunity to be involved with ensembles. Again, whether it's in our ECoSistema Nucleos or the Youth Honors Orchestra program through the Goshen College Community School of the Arts. And their school programs too. Our goal is really not to be in competition with other music programs, not to reinvent the wheel, but to fill in the gaps to access and build on the amazing music education assets that already exist in our county. And finally, as students enter into higher education and the college age, the Goshen College has a very unique and kind of newer undergraduate program. It's called Music for Social Change, where college students can learn about El Sistema inspired pedagogy and serve as interns with our nucleos. So we see this amazing chance for kids in our county to grow up with their lives infused with music and then complete the cycle as they become the next generation of teachers in our ECoSistema program. That's the vision that Maestro Abreu began to carry out in Venezuela. And that's the vision that we also have here as well. Just this lifetime of music education. We want to share with you a little bit about our nucleos here in Elkhart County. Roosevelt STEAM Academy is a public elementary school in Elkhart. It's also, it has the highest percentage of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. So it was very purposeful to want to start an ECoSistema Nucleo there to afford these students the opportunity who might not otherwise have access to music. Roosevelt is just a wonderful place. In third grade, all students choose an instrument and they are then part of either the string orchestra or the wind orchestra. And they have the chance to have music 3 times a week, all the way up until 6th grade. There are also a lot of other musical programming options that go on. So chime choir, which you can see here in this picture. And there are drumming and choir activities as well. And Roosevelt has a special place in my heart. That's where I taught my first 2 years back in Elkhart County.
Prairie View music teacher Lisa Caskey, also a Goshen alum, was instrumental, no pun intended, in making El Sistema a school-wide focus at Prairie View, predating ECoSistema's work at the Boys and Girls Club. Last year, I was privileged to be part of her work at Prairie View. Because of COVID, I'm not able to work there this year, and it's taking a little bit of a back seat. But last year, we had an after-school group focused on drumming, ukulele, and mallet instruments. And we had 2 in-school groups focused on positive interactions through drumming with 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders. At the Boys and Girls Club, the Goshen Clubhouse, the bulk of what Hillary and I do with ECoSistema is at the Boys and Girls Club of Goshen. Currently, we have 4 ensembles there and 1 club-wide program. The ensembles, which we'll talk about more in depth, involve singing, movement, and percussion, beginning orchestra, intermediate orchestra, and a teen chamber music ensemble. In addition to these ensembles, this year we also run a program called Music Mondays for the whole club this year. Because of COVID, students stay in their school's homeroom all afternoon, and the club was looking for more ways to engage all students in activities. So for Music Monday, I video percussion and movement segments that are played as YouTube playlists in each of the rooms. Each room has percussion instruments, including drums, so the teachers and Hillary and I go around and facilitate Music Mondays. Song Circle is a second grade group that meets twice a week for 30 minutes. And this is where I use my ORF training. We do percussion instruments, which include both tonal and non-tonal percussion instruments, tonal being xylophones and glockenspiels, and non-tonal being tubano drums and bucket ball drums that you see here. And we do movement, imitated, creative, and improvised, and musicianship skills. We're not doing as much singing this year because of COVID, but it's a active music making experience that gives kids a taste of what it's like to play in an ensemble. One quick story from Song Circle is that there was a boy that's in this group here, and he started the semester sort of being on the fence, interest-wise, not sure if he was really into it or not. And he went from being hesitant in his participation at the beginning to being so excited and almost addicted to playing this one passage for something in our holiday program called, well, you all know Carol of the Bells. And we learned how to do it on the xylophone, and he would get to the xylophone and he'd go, C, B, C, A, C, B, C, A, C, B, C, A, C, B, C, A, and on the bass xylophone. And that was quite a cool transformation to see. So we'll hear a little bit of Song Circle here on the bucket drums. Here we go, Song Circle, 1, 2, ready and together. Give yourself a hand with your stick. Here we go. Song Circle.
Our next ensemble that we're going to share about is the Crescendo Orchestra. So this is our beginning level orchestra. It's open to students in 3rd through 5th grades. And we meet twice a week for an hour each time. And all students also receive 1 private lesson per week. So this is earlier than students have the chance to participate in their school orchestra. But once students enter 5th grade, we really strongly encourage them to take part in their school orchestra. And we do have quite a few students who are in both. And we have a really great close working relationship with the orchestra directors at Goshen Middle School. And it's proven to be a really fruitful, mutually beneficial arrangement. The whole point is we just want as many kids as possible making as much music as possible. And we see just all these different experiences as complementing each other. So here's a little taste of Crescendo Orchestra. And this is only about a couple months into their playing their instruments at all. They had just learned the bow when we recorded this video. I think Kent is going to share a quick story about a Crescendo Orchestra student.
Yeah, so when I taught at Model Elementary School, I would often in my classes, at the beginning of the year, I would advertise for the Community School of the Arts choir programs. And there was one girl that took that flyer, joined it, told me all about it, how she was excited about it. And she would bring me the music and she would sing me her songs. She'd take her music out to recess and sing those songs. Jump forward a couple years, she's now in our Crescendo Orchestra, and she still has this enthusiasm for music. She is one of these kids that's in Crescendo Orchestra as a fifth grader and also in Goshen Community Schools Orchestra. And I asked her to do an intro recently for our upcoming winter program. And I said, would you be willing to sing the melody with the words of this song? And it was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. And it is so exciting to have a kid that music is her passion and to be a part of that experience and give her opportunities. So the next orchestra is our Presto Orchestra, which is for 4th and 5th grade students who have 1 to 2 years playing experience, most likely in ECoSistema. We have a few 5th graders in this group who have been playing 3 years now. This is their 3rd year, and they started with Hillary in ECoSistema when they were 3rd graders. We meet twice a week for an hour and 1 private lesson, half hour per week. And this group plays more advanced music than the beginning orchestra, of course. Because it is a smaller ensemble, it forces students to play their parts more independently. Also, because of COVID, we even have 2 students who join us by Zoom for class and for private lessons, which is a challenge, but it's also part of this access issue that we feel so passionate about. I have a story from just this afternoon. We had finished and completed all of our recordings for our winter concert. So I was thinking, what can I do today that would be motivating? And our kids love doing what we call flash mobs, where we go out to the lobby and we give little impromptu performances. And I got on the walkie-talkie and said, flash mob for anybody who wants. And I talked to their teachers before to make sure that they just come out of their doors a little bit so that we're not congregating too much. And we gave a little mini holiday concert for everybody. And it was that was about 5:30 today, which was the perfect way to end the day for a lot of people. And this was one of the songs we played, Burn Little Candle.
Our top level group at the Boys and Girls Club is also our newest. As our kids were aging up, we wanted to find some new challenging and enriching opportunities for them. So we established the Teen ECoSistema activity. The Boys and Girls Club uses the terminology of teen for students who are 6th grade and above. And so we adopted that. And we wanted to acknowledge that the students were older and could have more responsibility and more independence and autonomy in their music making. So, excuse me. So Teen ECoSistema has several different components to it. The first is chamber music. So we felt that the students were ready to learn skills like how to give a cue and how to give a cutoff and how to give each other constructive feedback and how to run their own rehearsal. So this video is a little clip of one of our Teen Echo chamber ensembles playing, and you can see these skills in action. Very nice cue and cutoff from our students here. So this is our Teen Echo trio. So for Teen ECoSistema, we also really encourage the students to participate in their school orchestra, and all of them are active members. And we've also heard from the middle school directors that our ECoSistema students are real leaders. They come in with a passion for music, with some skills, and just a real desire to learn and connect with others and help. So we have heard some really positive feedback about that. Along those same lines, our third component is musical mentoring. So our Teen ECoSistema students give back by coming in and helping out with some of the younger students. So for example, one of our students in Teen Echo, Alejandro, he is in 6th grade. He's been with us since the very beginning. And so has his brother here. The two of them have been longtime members of ECoSistema all 3 years. Their family is extremely supportive. They show up to every event. They're just really into it. And so Alejandro is thrilled that he gets to help out with the Crescendo Orchestra, which his brother is a part of. He shows up to every rehearsal. He takes it extremely seriously. He walks around, he helps tune, he gives suggestions, he gives really nice compliments and good feedback. So he's learning valuable skills of leadership with music, while at the same time providing some much needed support and help for Kent and me. So Teen Echo has been really fun this year. So another really cool piece of our program that I mentioned a little bit earlier is our Goshen College Music for Social Change program. And for students who pursue the minor and the certificate, there is a component of that involves some internship hours. So this year we have 2 students who are working at that program with us. They're pursuing the Music for Social Change. One of them is doing a certificate and the other a minor. And so they come very regularly to our rehearsals and they act as interns. The students really see them as teachers in the program. Other components of this program are some coursework having to do with El Sistema inspired music education and some other topics around entrepreneurship. And I think there's even a psychology or a social work component to this. So some coursework that helps prepare students to be involved with a community-based music program that's also a social change program. There's a capstone project. And then so the internship hours are a component that not only students who are pursuing this degree can do, but also all music education majors at Goshen College take the El Sistema Music for Social Change class. And as part of that, they visit our nucleodes as well. So our students are incredibly lucky to be seeing college students all the time, interacting with them all the time, and getting this one-on-one attention. And they can start to envision themselves doing that. They can see, oh, I know this person who went to Goshen College. Maybe I can do that someday. Maybe I can be a music teacher too. As well as for the college students, it's just a tremendous learning experience and this hands-on teaching experience. So it's a really mutually beneficial experience.
So social emotional learning is a core part of the ECoSistema experience. In our instruction, we frequently connect our learning and experiences to these 4 principles that we have chosen to focus on based on social emotional learning. We sort of studied different models and came up with these things based on the different models and also based on our needs at the club: integrity, responsibility, grit, and community. And during our instruction, we'll say, hey, just on Tuesday, we were saying, we really experienced community in putting on a winter program, or we've really seen grit. We, remember this song? It used to be so hard, and you've really shown grit. So those really help us sort of focus on our social emotional learning.
We are so grateful that you all have joined us this evening. It's such a great opportunity for us to share with you about our work. This program has been going on for quite a few years, but we're absolutely thrilled now to be officially a part of Goshen College. As hopefully you may agree after hearing a little bit more about it, there's just such wonderful just alignment and overlap in the core values and the vision of Goshen College and ECoSistema. And we're so glad to be doing this work with such an amazing team of people. We are also working at building our sustainability structure. So we welcome any gifts and donations from anyone who may feel led to contribute and help support our work. We have a website. It can be found at www.ecosistemamusic.org. And as you can see, it's got a lot of information. There's the virtual winter concert, which we're putting on. There's a link to that. We invite you all to join us. It'll be live next Tuesday. And there's a blog where you can read some firsthand stories. There's a little bit of information, some media links, lots to check out. And then of course there is the opportunity to donate and to give. And we would be extremely grateful for anyone who chooses to do that. And it's a great opportunity to turn your dollars into really positive team building, community building, empowering experiences for youth through music. So once again, thank you for joining us. And we will transition now into a time of question and answers, and Brian will facilitate that.
Great. Thank you so much, Hillary and Kent. I am so glad that you are a part of the GC team. I think there's a lot of synergy there, like you talked about, and this is an amazing initiative for our entire county. So we'll look forward to how you grow and weave yourself into the fabric of this county. We'll take some questions now. So if you've been thinking of a question that you want answered, you can still, if you're on the Zoom, you can still type that into the Q&A section. We've got a couple questions here. So I'll just go ahead and read a couple of these questions, and then Hillary or Kent, whichever one of you want to jump in, you can do so. So we got a question here that says, who teaches all of the private lessons and where are they conducted?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Kent and I teach the private lessons. There are currently about 30 of them that we teach every week. There are 30 string players and each of them gets a private lesson. So we constructed this kind of jigsaw puzzle schedule and we fit it all in. The lessons all happen at the Boys and Girls Club. So it's where the kids already are, where they have transportation access to. Their instruments and materials are all there. And so at any given moment, well, and I should say too, the Boys and Girls Club has been just incredible to work with. They make all the difference in just making this program possible. So they have made space available to us. They have offered incredible in-kind support in so many ways. So at any given moment, if you walk in, you might see Kent in the cafeteria teaching the Presto Orchestra. And if you go upstairs, you'll see me in a smaller room teaching private lessons. And it's just a well-oiled machine. Thanks to the Boys and Girls Club, we're able to do that programming.
Cool, thanks. The next one says, how does your program compare to the Suzuki method?
That's a great question. I wonder, Kent, if you want to speak to this, since you have firsthand experience with Suzuki.
Sure. Well, one difference is that El Sistema inspired programs, it's important to be a free program. And generally Suzuki costs money. The other thing is with El Sistema, it's really important to be learning in a community environment. So yes, we do have private lessons, but we're also learning in an ensemble 2 times a week. And Suzuki has, a book and sort of a prescription of how to teach. El Sistema is a little more open to be flexible towards whatever, your situation or the needs or the ethnicity or the culture of your kids. We were at the National Symposium. There was a woman that also addressed this issue and said, Suzuki and El Sistema are not enemies. They don't have to be against each other. There are programs that use parts of the Suzuki method in their El Sistema. So, it could be a part of the approach. I don't know what else you have is there anything else you have to add to that, Hillary?
No, yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, that they can go together. El Sistema it's really a set of ideals and a philosophy, and it can be applied to any sort of program. There are some El Sistema inspired programs in the US that I'm aware of that do implement the Suzuki pedagogy, but they use the El Sistema philosophy of focusing more, of placing a greater focus on group learning and making the program free through grant writing and fundraising and things like that. So yeah, they can work together, and they have some differences as well.
Yeah. It strikes me that I know you made some alterations to the program to what you had been doing this year because of COVID. And I think one of those things was the addition of private lessons. Can you talk just a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this actually began last spring. And I wonder, Kent, if you want to speak to that, since that was, you were doing that.
Yeah, so when the shutdown happened in March, everybody was scrambling. What are we going to do? And Hillary was in Madison, Wisconsin last year, and I was here on the ground in it's the program's going to die. So we've got to keep this going. And so I was like, we have to do Zoom lessons. So since normally the instruments don't go home, I arranged to deliver instruments to everybody. I came up with instrument care contracts, how to take care of your instruments, instrument practice sheets, started putting things on YouTube, on songs, and then having one-on-one weekly lessons with each of the kids. And one of the aha moments was how deeper relationships can be in those one-on-one lessons, and how often I was in contact with parents. I had to be in contact with parents. Everybody's in my phone because I have to be texting with parents. I had to figure out, do you do Zoom? Do you do Facebook Messenger? All these different things, and sort of tailor it towards them. And then as we were looking towards this fall, we were like, that's a really good thing,
Hmm.
those private lessons. And because at the club, they're a little bit more closed this year, we're like, last year we were trying to do 4 times a week. And we're like, maybe we better do it a little bit less. We said last year was 4 times a week with a goal of being there 3 times. And this year we have 3 mandatory things. 2 are the group ensembles, and then 1 is a half-hour private lesson. And we get a lot done in that half-hour private lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a really solid 3 things. And I'm getting what I call happy goosebumps to the kids. I get happy goosebumps talking about the private lessons because, there are some kids who might fall through the cracks, even in a group ensemble. And
Mm-hmm.
we're able to connect with each of the kids individually, even check in how they're doing. And they tell us things that don't have anything to do with the lessons, and we listen. And it's been a really, it's one of those weird things of COVID that you can take out of COVID. It actually strengthens your program.
Cool. Yeah, thanks for that. So, I mean, I guess that shows how it's a set of ideals, but it's very adaptable. The whole idea of ECoSistema, El-Sistema. Okay. So I think this one is talking about Roosevelt, and you talked about them having a wind orchestra and a string orchestra, and they're just wondering how that part of the program, that wind orchestra part of the program, works.
Yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So part of the amazing generosity of Con Selmer at the very beginning, when Roosevelt was the first El-Sistema inspired program site, Con Selmer awarded a very generous grant to Roosevelt, to Elkhart Community Schools, to purchase a full inventory of instruments, string, wind, brass, and percussion. It's incredible. Whenever COVID is over, please go visit Roosevelt and just take a look at the beautiful collection of instruments that are there. So so that included the full range of wind and brass instruments. And a wind and brass teacher was hired, as well as a string teacher. So there are actually 4 music teacher positions at Roosevelt, one of whom does only strings, one of whom does only winds. And the wind orchestra program is basically a wind ensemble model. So that includes flutes, clarinets, cornets, trombones, even some French horns. I think there's one sousaphone. It's pretty cute seeing a little 5th grader playing this big old sousaphone. And they have class, not now during the pandemic, but they typically would have class 3 times a week. And the wind orchestra, my colleague who does the wind orchestra is super creative in incorporating different styles like some jazz and improvisation into the wind orchestra, as well as some electronic music with garage band. And so the wind orchestra is kind of unique. Not every El-Sistema inspired program has a wind orchestra. So we're lucky that we do.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Okay, so here's a question. How do you encourage El-Sistema students in terms of college and career opportunities as musicians or music educators?
That is a great question. Yes. And so as of now, our program is new enough that our oldest students are still in early high school or middle school. So we have not begun to encounter that so much yet, although of course we're always talking with our students about the future and about their aspirations and their opportunities. One way in which we talk about this is actually by showing it, and that is through frequent interaction with Goshen College students and frequent visits to the campus. So we have an annual, it's called a seminario. That's again another term from Venezuela. It just refers to a regional music festival. And twice now, Goshen College has actually hosted an entire Great Lakes regional seminario where students from Ohio and Michigan, Illinois, Indiana came here to Goshen College and stayed in the dorms and got to eat in the cafeteria and had 2 days of rehearsals and a culminating concert on our campus. And so the students that was incredible for them. A lot of our ECoSistema students have lived in Goshen or Elkhart their whole lives, but had never set foot on the Goshen College campus.
Mm, mm.
But after these experiences, they feel connected. They still talk about, just today, a student was talking about their experience at the seminario and
Yeah, that's
how
cool.
much they loved being on the campus of Goshen College. And so that's kind of the angle that we're taking right now, is just showing students what can be possible for them as musicians.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
will say that our goal with ECoSistema and with El Sistema in general, Maestro Abreu from the beginning, he says, our goal is not to churn out musicians and for every kid to grow up to be a musician. We're developing committed, engaged citizens and members of communities. So we don't have an explicit goal necessarily that all of our students have to continue with music, but we consider it a success if they go on to be a leader in whatever activity they do choose. So I think this is an area that we'll continue to flesh out and to develop as our students get older.
Yeah, as a follow-up to that, you had mentioned the student Alejandro, I think, and kind of the growth in him becoming a mentor to other students. Could you? We've heard a lot about the music side of things, and there's this other youth development side. So, could you tell us a little bit? I don't know if there's any anecdotes from Roosevelt, or how are we seeing that how are you seeing that youth development side play out, or how are others observing that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there are so many stories. It's kind of hard to narrow it down. One that came to mind just now in regards to Alejandro is we, with the Teen Echo program, we're teaching the students how to run their own rehearsals. And that comes with, in fact, it's so many more lessons than I had anticipated. It comes with, how do you give criticism? How do you receive criticism? How do you be considerate toward others in the way that you phrase things? So Alejandro was getting really excited about, and maybe a little overzealous about, giving feedback, and he was saying, so and so, you need to do this. And so we had to stop and regroup. I could see that the other students were getting a little bit, a little hurt by this. So we stopped, took a breath, and we talked about, how do you think those words make each other feel? How do you think that is impacting the people around you? What are some different ways you can phrase this? And so we came up with the phrase, I suggest, insert suggestion. And he uses that. He's using that every time now when he makes a suggestion. He says, I suggest that you do this. It's great.
Yeah.
And yeah, Kent, do you want to add some things to that?
Well, we even sometimes start mentors younger. The same girl I was talking about that was in the Community School of the Arts, Rejoice Choir, actually is a mentor for our song circle. And on Tuesday, I didn't have my intern and I wanted to do some recording. So I asked her to come down and lead the one part. And she knows glockenspiels and xylophones from when I taught her at Model. And I called on her today too for the same reason. And she came down so willingly, and she's learning some really good skills. And she's also being a model to the other kids. And last year, when things were more opened up at the club, I sometimes had kids almost fighting over each other about, like, I can't have 5 volunteers for a class where there are 10 kids. We're going to have to rotate. But they were also wanting, they didn't think it was babyish to be doing the song circle stuff. They wanted to be there and help. And that's really exciting to see, sort of an overlap and a willingness to help each other and to sort of really work at that's what we want. That's what we want, to foster that sort of community.
So have you heard, I mean, are there any stories of that leaching out of the Boys and Girls Club, but like those students, it's awesome that they're helping at the Boys and Girls Club with ECoSistema. Are teachers in regular classrooms seeing any of that, or maybe it's too soon to know?
Yes, I would say yes. There's a story I just thought of right now. At Roosevelt, when I was there, our pilot group of kids, the very first grade level of kids who started in 3rd grade, when I was there, they were then entering 6th grade, which is when they can transition into their school orchestra, the public school orchestra. And we heard from the 6th grade orchestra teacher. He said, wow, what are you doing with these kids? First of all, they had like tripled in size the number of students from Roosevelt who had come into 6th grade orchestra. It was a huge incoming group of kids. And he said, they are responsible. They're so focused. They're helping other kids without being prompted, without being asked.
Cool.
So whatever you're doing, it's working. Like, we don't know how to explain it, but and I also I want to say too that ECoSistema is not reinventing the wheel of music education. Oftentimes I hear the question, well, what's different about ECoSistema from other kinds of music programs? And the answer is that it's not anything revolutionary. It's not, it's taking what those of us who have been in music programs recognize as the side effects of music education, which is confidence, feeling like a part of something, cooperation, focus, persistence, and it's making those kind of intentional objectives. So that's kind of a helpful way that I've found to frame it.
Oh, that's awesome. I think, let's see, I think we're about out of time. I don't know how long we're actually supposed to go. I'll just end by saying a couple of things. One, thank you all so much for joining us this evening, especially Hillary and Kent. It has been really enlightening and gets me even more excited that you're a part of the Goshen College team. And that you're here, that you've chosen to do this work, the two of you in Elkhart County. That is really, that is special. We are fortunate, so fortunate to live in a county that has such talented people. I also want to say that if there are people out there who might be interested in this program, those of you who are listening, this program will be recorded, is being recorded, and will be available on the website, the GC Talks website. So you can just Google GC Talks or go to Goshen College's webpage and find that. And they have all of the GC Talks that have happened. So if you'd like to hear it again or share it with somebody, we would love to have you do that. We really hope that you've enjoyed this presentation, and we'll come back for future GC Talks. And again, just to learn more about those talks, you can find those links at goshen.edu/GC Talks. Thanks again, Hillary and Kent, and all of you for watching. Be well and stay connected.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.